right, we are live.
Hello, everybody. Welcome and thank you for joining us in the inaugural Silhouette Spec Cup series. This is one that I will be participating in as well as doing commentary for. It's a little bit weird, but I assure you I'm not having an out-of-body experience. My name is Justin Kratz, and co-commentating with me today is Mr. Mio Mike Magus.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're going to be in for quite some interesting racing. Going to have a lot of door-to-door action, especially in races 2 and 3 when we're doing reverse grid of the top 6 drivers based on previous results.
Only top 6? That's got to be the smallest reverse grid we've actually got active in ESR.
It was an interesting choice, but it still led to some probably some questionable overtakes, I would imagine. I didn't see too much from where I was sitting on the track. These guys are quicker than me.
Well, I mean, of course, the unfortunate thing about Raceroom, and to be honest, I say a lot of nice things about this Raceroom track, because by the standards of a fictional circuit, it's actually really, really good. A lot of fictional circuits historically have a lot of problems, but what it is that there's no basis for track limits here. And that means that what a legal lap is on this track is kind of weird. Kind of weird.
Some ambiguities there?
Yeah. We just did a race here with Bridge, actually, with the GT4s last night, and had very similar problems. Very high illegal lap limits, because it's like, all right, so I'm allowed 2 wheels off here, but if I put 1 wheel off there, it's illegal. This is weird.
Oh, well. Alright, with quali at an end, we have Leandro Carroll taking the pole, Martin Edmonds in second, we got Mr. Fernandez in third, Castro in fourth, Butler fifth, Perez Torres in sixth, Gabriel Belto, I believe, is that how that's pronounced? Boltu was in position 7.
Let's put it this way, he never corrected my pronunciation, so if that's wrong, he's been waiting a long time to make it clear that it's wrong.
Well, that's entirely on him at this point then, so fair play.
Alright, so the grid is forming up here. We got a Red Bull 3-pack near the front, so that's going to be interesting telling those cars apart. And we have Leandro Carroll from pole, obviously. 2 cars starting from the back are of note. Max Simons and Richard DeRoche did not manage to get lap times in. I don't know if that was because they joined qualifying really late or they had problems with the track limits. We saw both of them out there actually putting up purple first sectors, so they've got pace.
It was definitely track
sure.
limits. DeRoche had about 6 laps in qualifying, and I think Simons had 4.
Yeah, I also saw DeRoche had contact with somebody. I haven't put names to all the liveries, so hopefully maybe at some point during this race I'll figure out who it was. But here we go! And there is Richard DeRoche with a very aggressive move at the back. I saw him. Max Simons is coming down the inside too, so that could be interesting. And a man on the move is Gabriel Boltu into the first corner. A little aggressive there, and the bumps have claimed the JBL Gabriel Boltu car. And sometimes when you take a risk, it doesn't pay off.
That is very true. Especially going 3 wide through a series of turns such as these.
So we got the Red Bull pack, got the nipping at the heels of Leandro Carroll. So tell us a little bit about this series while things are kind of developing here. I'll cut in as needed, but there are no teams, if I recall correctly, correct?
There are no teams, in fact. It is all fixed setups, and there is, oddly enough, no fuel wear or tire consumption in this series. We're running 3 10-minute races, and in the second and third, we're doing reverse grid top 6 based on the previous race's results.
Actually brings back a lot of memories, because the first Raceroom series that I admin was actually silhouettes with pretty much the same rules. So
interesting. These are really fun little cars, honestly, but being that they're free base content, I was kind of surprised to see this kind of a turnout.
They're fairly popular. I think people confuse free with bad, which is kind of weird because, of course, you got free prototype 1s and free prototype 2s. We had kind of the same reaction when we did the Aquila series, which is currently running on Saturdays.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I think with Raceroom particularly, you got to think that free is not bad. Like the Sepang circuit in Malaysia is free. Portimao in Portugal are free. Like, these are quality tracks and a number of quality cars. As Max Simon's getting a little bit out of shape there, and that's letting Richard Durocher have a little sniff. Gotta wonder, though, how much Simons and Durocher really want to fight, because we know that they're kind of out of place on a pace matter. They just couldn't qualify. And they're now up to 7th and 8th after 2 laps, so very impressive in that regard. So I wonder if they want to work together to get up with, say, this group of Red Bulls here, or if they're going to really squabble. But they do have to get around James Butler at some point in the near future.
And James Butler is no slouch. He may not be the fastest driver in the field, but he is up there.
He actually just overtook Alejandro Silvara, who's doing very well in the DTM series, quality driver.
Oh, nice. Very nice.
That's Butler, then Silvara, Simmons, and Durocher in that mix. And towards the back, I think we might have lost Douglas de Groot. Nope.
I do recall de Groot having quite the nasty incident early on, which led to me getting a pretty nice, comfortable gap ahead of him. That was pretty nice.
Yeah, it seems to be... you know what? I think, unfortunately, we've got the timing glitch that we've been having since the recent update to Raceroom. Unfortunately, because I'm seeing that gap kind of go all around places, and so sadly, an extra challenge for you with this commentary is I don't think we can trust the time gaps that we're being provided with in any way.
Yeah, I believe that was happening with the Aquila series race that we commentated over.
It was also happening. It seems to be happening just in general. So I don't know what it is. Something perhaps with the recent update to Raceroom. Not interfacing well with the Raceroom spectating software. I can only throw, like, spaghetti at a wall at this point as to try and figure it out, but it seems to be, irregardless of what server or what computer's doing the recording, that it seems to be a thing, so definitely some kind of communication problem between something.
I can confirm.
Big slide!
There
Red
we go.
Bulls collide! That was Fernandez losing it and Castro collecting him, and that's going to help out the guys we were talking about earlier with Durocher and Simmons. Also, it seems like we've lost a car because we're down to 13 cars.
I believe there was a DC or somebody quit out. I don't remember what, or I'm not entirely sure which one of those two happened.
I'm trying to think of who I see missing from the field. It's Gabriel Boltu is the missing man. So he is out of the race, it would appear, and out of the subsequent 2 races. So that's a problem. Martin Edmonds is taking the lead, by the way. We kind of missed that. This series is going to be right up Martin's alley with no tire wear.
Yeah, you can push that car all day long. Just got to mind your tire temps.
Well, it depends. How sensitive are these cars with the tire temps? Because I've not driven them since they actually brought tire temps into being a thing in this game.
You definitely notice after pushing a while. I've noticed a lot of drift going through turns once you get your tires worn in real good. So yeah, it does become an obstacle.
Alright, so it's the Mobile 1 car that is being driven by Landro Carroll. So, quick rehash after a lot of changes. Edmonds now leading from Carroll. Durocher from the back of the pack to 3rd place. He's got James Butler on his tail, followed by Alejandro Silvara, and who is being attacked by, I'm not sure how to say that name, but I'm going to take a stab at it. Nahuel Fernandez? I don't know. I don't think I've ever seen that. Ooh, big wide run there from Silvara. That's going to let both Fernandez and Max Simons have a run. And Max Simons get through. And the answer is no. Silvara holds 6th place.
And here we're seeing a lot of that door-to-door racing I had mentioned before.
Indeed, this racetrack is nice and wide. It allows for a lot of movement. There's not a lot of drive-through track cuts, which also help out a fair bit. And Simmons under trouble and has actually lost a spot there to David Castro. David Castro. We don't know what the S stands for, so
it's his first name, like.
I mean, could be Sergio, could be Serginho, could be Simon. There's a lot of options there.
There are. I couldn't pronounce it, so I skipped over it. Yeah.
So we have Lucky Chop putting the pressure on Robert Waddell. And there is David Castro taking another spot and just managing not to cut the track. So that was good work by him. I think he may have slammed the door shut on Silvara, though, which has allowed Max Simons to slip through into 7th place. Max Simons recently made a tremendous advancement in racecraft. He realized that he needs to stop treating everything as an F1 car, which
that's a good call.
Considerably. And here is the battle for 4th place between Butler and Fernandez. We know Fernandez is quite quick. He was involved in that accident that really shook things up. So, yeah, I think he's going to make relatively short work of Butler and has, in fact, gotten through.
Nice smooth overtake, too. Now, going back to Mr. Chop here, he's an interesting one.
Butler's coming back out.
Oh, here we go. Battle for 4th continues.
And Butler's got it back for the time being. Forced Fernandez wide there. Clean move.
A little bit of contact.
Now, the problem seems to be that turn right there. Butler seems to be struggling with that turn, and it's really opening up the door.
This whole sector is extremely tricky. There's only one really good line, but you've had the uphill right-hand sweeper with just a blind apex. It makes it very unnerving to try to carry too much speed through.
Absolutely. I've seen a couple of Academy cars, but of course use this circuit for... actually, I think we used the National layout as opposed to the Grand Prix layout, if I recall correctly. But they're incredibly similar layouts. They use very much the same track, with just kind of 2 or 3 minor differences.
Now, with this being a fictional track, did they actually give official names for the corners? Do they have that?
I don't believe so. I think it's just the turn 1, turn 2, turn 3 type of deal. I don't know any of the names of the corners, if they are indeed a thing. Hey, you're on camera, Justin.
Hey, I won't get used to that. I had some good battles with Mr. Chop here. He's one to look out for. He may not, again, be the fastest, but I saw him a little bit all over the field throughout this series of 3 races. Definitely don't count him out.
Absolutely. How far does the points go down? Is this a case where everybody is going to score points, or is this top 10, top 12, something of that nature?
That is actually a really good question that I'm not particularly acquainted with.
Oh. Should probably do that, sir.
I've got the Discord server in front of me, if it would be posted in any of these channels.
I would say RaceApp might be your best bet.
Let's not use logic now.
Lucky Chop has dropped behind Robert Waddell. Was there contact between you and Mr. Chop, or did Mr. Chop have a self-induced moment?
He did not anticipate me hitting the brakes where I did. I was coming up on that turn with the blind apex. Not terribly comfortable with this track myself. I don't think he expected me to brake as soon as I did, and he rear-ended me, and it kind of ruined his day more than it ruined mine.
That can happen.
Yes, it can.
So Max Simons on the attack against David Castro. Battle for 6th position. Simons, of course, a lot of blazing speed, a lot of potential, but not the most consistent driver.
Which therein lies a serious problem. Thankfully, with a little bit of patience and practice, you can iron that out.
Absolutely. Leandro Carroll still running in 2nd place, but he just cannot stay with Martin Edmonds. When you take tires away as a limiting factor for Martin, he's very fast.
It's almost like he plotted that.
I mean, he had nothing to do with the scheduling or really anything with the series. So no, this is all the brainchild of Lucky Chop.
Oh, this is Lucky's series.
Yes,
okay, I was wondering who that was that came up with this.
This is the Lucky Chop series, as we have hit the checkered flag at this point. So Martin Edmonds is your first winner in the history of the ESR Spec series.
Congratulations to him.
Ahead of Leandro Carroll, Richard DeRoche, Mr. Fernandez, James Butler, David Castro, Max Simons, Alejandro Silvara, Javier Perez-Torres, and Justin Kratz. Your top 10. Robert Waddell, Lucky Chop, and Douglas DeGroot will also finish the race and potentially score points. We don't know what the scoring system is.
Unfortunately, I won't get used to being in that top 10 position throughout the rest of these races.
I do have an answer for who Richard DeRoche hit in qualifying. It was Douglas DeGroot.
Oh, well, there we go.
And one DNF on the... Oh, on kind of a negative note, David Castro, no legal laps, sir. None. Oh.
Oh.
That is not good. That is not good. Fastest lap of the race goes to Richard DeRoche. Leandro Carroll also a lot of illegal laps because his fastest lap apparently was a 1:39, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. So one would have to imagine he went faster than that and they were just illegal.
I believe the pole sitter hit a 33.
Yep, and Richard did a 33 in the race. So yeah, it's hard to believe that the car in second place's legitimate fastest lap was only a 39. So guys, track limits, come on. I know they're a bit mercurial at this track, but try to get at least one legal lap in. Come on.
If I can do it, well, let's not use me as a guiding light for driving. Let's use Martin. He won the last race.
Well, it did seem like most people managed to get a somewhat representative legal lap in. So, yeah, it was really just kind of... Castro struck me as getting absolutely none, apparently. And Carroll being the other. Castro will start from pole here with James Butler alongside. So that'll be interesting. The man I think to watch, though, is Richard DeRoche. Came up from like last place to third in race one, and he's starting from fourth here, and he's going to the inside hard. So let's see what we got here. Castro has retained the top spot. James Butler got to a terrible start. Started second. He's already back down to 8th place. James, did you get caught completely sleeping at the start of the race? What is up with that?
The Canhard R52 has a nasty case of turbo lag and is very, very slow off the line.
I'm aware of that. The R51 is a far superior starting car, naturally aspirated, of course.
V8
there. That being said, man, 7 spots. Come on. That is really bad. That's like me at Silverstone bad.
Oh, let's not talk about Silverstone.
All right, well, there is James Butler. He is now behind. That is Silvara and Simmons struggling for 6th place ahead of him. So he's in a bad spot. It is a Red Bull 1-2 with Castro and Fernandez, and an Argentinian loaded podium with Leandro Carroll bringing up 3rd place. And behind them it is Richard DeRoche and Martin Edmonds, the Canadian contingent.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Looking around, seeing if anyone else has made some great progress. A couple people moved up, but I'd say, I mean, the man who got the best of that lap was definitely Leandro Carroll, up from starting in 5th place up to 3rd. So no one particularly on a surge. Just oh god, Richard DeRoche.
Well, that was an interesting line through there.
That was not the line. That was not the line.
This is not the line you were looking for.
See if anyone else got caught up in that. I think Martin Edmonds and Silvara, I think, probably got caught up in that a little bit as well. They have dropped behind Max Simons.
They certainly fared through it better than some of their fellow racers did.
Indeed. Well, we'll see if there's any. Is damage on? I guess would be the question.
Damage is on, but I don't believe mechanical damage is set to full. They went and changed how all of that works at the last update. So I think we're running limited damage, but I'm not 100% sure on that.
Okay, well, we'll see if Richard DeRoche can make progress back through the field. He is currently in 8th position after that interesting line determined.
Also, to confirm with you, up to 15th place gets points.
Alright, so basically Superbike style scoring. Okay. Alright, so it is still Castro, Fernandez, Carroll at the front. They've now got Max Simons in 4th place after the 2 Canadians kind of almost murdering each other. Although Martin Edmonds is still running in a relatively solid 5th place. James Butler 6th, followed by Silvara, DeRoche, Kratz, and Waddell in the top 10.
Definitely not going to stay that way. We've got... Oh, we're not even
not.
halfway through the race. There is definitely some more overtaking to be had. Spoilers.
I would absolutely hope not. I would hope there's still some action to come. Leandro Carroll's under attack from Max Simons. So Simons is having a real solid second race here. And looks like he's getting the job done nicely. Now, I will comment that he's not having a fastest lap shown, which could suggest that he has nothing but illegal laps again.
Let's hope not for his sake, but you never know.
Well, no, it wasn't. He had a legal lap in the other race. It was Castro that had none. Which, I don't know if there's any rules in place about that. That would definitely... I think if you get no legal laps, it's not that you should face a penalty necessarily, but there definitely should be a little bit of a word.
Yeah, maybe some coaching, just a little.
As it was Robert Waddell has dropped back to the back of the pack, so he's had a slight problem.
Mm-hmm.
And here is Max Simons once again, currently running in fourth position with Martin Edmonds behind him. See, Martin's got a legal lap, 35-4. Not very good.
I mean, consistency.
And Alejandro Silvara losing a spot there to DeRoche, so any damage that Richard has on that car is not stopping his charge. So,
and Carolyn Simmons battling it out for third up here.
Indeed. That's been going on for a little bit. Max Simons showing some feistiness and some clean racing, which is two things that he's needed to develop lately, because there's no question he has the pace to be a top guy. In the meantime, the Argentinian Red Bull contingent continues to run 1-2 with Castro and Fernandez.
Got a lot of love for the Red Bull liveries. I wonder if Formula One's to blame for that one.
There's always been a lot of love for the Red Bull liveries just in general. I mean, Red Bull is, of course, the ultimate sponsor in motorsport. You've got them in Rallycross, you've got them in Rally, you've got them over here in North America. They've been on and off present in IndyCar and kart, Formula One, of course. I mean, it's
their own events.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Red Bull Global Rallycross. I mean, come on. This is the motorsport company to end all motorsport company.
Although Monster's coming for him.
Monster is stepping it up, yeah. But until Monster gets themselves an F1 sponsorship deal, I don't think it doesn't really compare.
Monster 2021.
I have no loyalty to any energy drink brands because I cannot drink them. Justin Kratz banging doors with Douglas DeGroot. Yep, that's DeGroot. And hangs on to 11th place.
I feel like DeGroot is going to make for a good rival for me throughout this series. Hopefully I can work through the rankings, gain some pace alongside him, and continue to have some good races.
He's got that very nice, simple-looking yet elegant blonde livery, which I do rather like.
Very much so.
As, the Red Bulls continue to not really work together, which probably would be in their best interest to get away from Leandro Carroll, who is a very talented racer and at times has managed to take the fight even like stop. So I would want to get away from him as fast as possible, and that probably should mean a little bit of teamwork between these two Red Bulls.
Yeah, indeed. I definitely think that would be the ideal strategy, but we'll see how that plays out.
We're on board with the Samsung car of Javi Perez Torres, who is charging after Lucky Chop there in the Puma and losing control of the car.
Javier's another one that started gaining pace pretty decently.
Well, he's fixed his steering settings as of last night, finally, so hopefully that will help him. Mike Stoffmill has been amazed at some of the Academy drivers, like just wheel settings and how they've limited them. So,
I'm totally ignorant to a lot of that stuff, so I'm sure there's stuff holding me back there.
I know. Not to name names, but there was someone who had some speed-sensitive steering going on, which is a terrible idea. If you've got that on, please turn it off. And we know Javi Perez Torres had limited... Oh, Richard Roche, by the way, is overtaking James Butler and is up to what would be reverse grid pole for race number 3.
Mm-hmm. In good time with 1:49 remaining.
Oh, Leandro 3-1! Leandro Carroll was trying to force something there with the Red Bulls, and he may have the inside line on Fernandez. He's going down the inside and into second place. Can Max Simons make anything happen to this? And of course, Martin Edmonds is very close to this as well. So the top 5 is very subject to change, very volatile.
Very volatile. It's almost like they all want first place.
Indeed, but it's all working in the favor of Mr. David Castro, who continues to lead the way.
Indeed, and he does seem to be keeping a steady distance from Leandro as well, for now at least.
So it's Leandro now has to worry about Fernandez trying to come back at him. Fernandez has got good pace. Leandro has fixed his illegal laps this time around. He has won a 33-4 legally, so that's good.
That is good.
Step in the right direction. Honestly, the scenery around this track is actually very, very nice, I must say.
It is. A lot of good detail.
Again, like I said, this and there was a Race 07 track that someone had created a mod of. It was actually a quote-unquote Canadian track, which was interesting, that they called... I want to say it was called Road 1. That was perhaps the only fictional track I can think of that was better than this one. And that was just because I think it was honestly just a hodgepodge of like historical turns. Like there was definitely the Nordschleife Carousel on there, and a couple of features from Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and that kind of thing. It was kind of really weird and somewhat hodgepodge, but very challenging drive. Anyways, they have really tightened up with the leaders. So when I was saying Castro was trying to get some gap, it hasn't worked. Carroll is all over his back end, and Fernandez is all over the back end of him. They have dropped Martin Edmonds and Max Simons a bit, though, who have swapped places. So I wonder if Edmonds and Simons came to slight blows there while fighting over 4th place.
That is quite possible. There are some very tight sections. A couple good chicanes where contact can be made quite easily. There are also good overtaking opportunities if you can get the line right.
Oh, Castro went defensive, and I think it is backfire. Oh, he closes the door hard, though.
Ooh.
Carroll still wants that spot, though. I can't see the car. It is still Castro ahead. Fernandez has actually got to be... His mouth has got to be watering off of this, though, because that was very close to putting him in the lead.
Yes, it was.
Still on the verge of a podium are Martin Edmonds, although we are on the last lap of the race. In fact, the checkered flag is out, so I think Castro has won here today, race number 2. And I believe it is from Carroll, Fernandez, Edmonds, and Simons. Not sure. James Butler looks like he got the 6th place back from Richard DeRoche, so Butler will start on pole for race number 3. And
let's see how that advantage fares for him.
And he has to get off to a better start than he did in race 1 because or race 2 because
he's got to build those revs.
He started on front row this race and just was never there because of how bad the start was. Justin Kratz bringing up the rear of the pack, and a couple of cars were unable to get legal laps in, and that includes Fernandez, Simons, and Waddell. Now I'd like to take this opportunity to extend an invite to the Academy for some of the drivers who are fighting with the likes of Javi Pete, because obviously if you're fighting with Academy drivers, you would be eligible to be in the Academy.
You can join my ranks and maybe, I don't know, learn what you're doing wrong. Fix it. Get better.
Absolutely. There is no shame in learning what little errors you're doing, because it can be such small things
and they add up too. That's the big thing. The little mistakes add up and they snowball and they really, really put a dent in your overall performance.
Absolutely. So we're forming up the grid here. That gold car of James Butler will start on pole. I'm not 100% remembering. It's going to be apparently a blank spot beside him because we've lost another car. It is the car of Max Simons, who was going to start P2 and is not here now. I don't know what happened there. So we are off, and another rather poor start from James Butler. He is getting swallowed by the field. And it is Martin Edmonds and Leandro Carroll up from 4th on the grid, or up from 5th on the grid to 2nd place already. Fantastic start from the Argentine driver.
Indeed. He's a rocket. He laser focuses on that lead driver, and he's there.
Absolutely. Butler slipping back to 8th place there, but he's made a little bit of a charge back up to 6th. Looks like some mistakes from Douglas DeGroot and Alejandro Silvara. Perhaps there. So, interesting in it. We got Edmonds from. It's now Martin Edmonds Martin Edmonds, pardon me, was in the lead all the time. Martin Edmonds leading from Carroll Fernandez Castro, the Argentine Brigade. And they are followed by Richard DeRoche, James Butler, Douglas DeGroot, Justin Kratz, Lucky Chop, and Alejandro Silvara. That is your top 10.
And Lucky just overtook me. I overtook him back. There's going to be a little back and forth.
And that was you off the track, I do believe.
Yep, it was. Pushed too hard, forgot to hit the brakes at the right time, and, well, an object in motion tends to stay in motion, as they say.
Oh, absolutely. Carroll on the tail of Martin Edmonds. So this has been a section of the track where we've seen some overtakes, so keep your eyes sharp for that. Fernandez looking a little bit feisty there in the background, like he wants to take a run at Carroll. See if that goes through. It looks like the top 6 have more or less broken away from the pack.
Yeah. It's really interesting that these two cars are very similar, but, you know, depending on the driver's ability, you can absolutely still pull away and form gaps like this.
So if I'm correct on this, you guys are limited to the R51 and R52 Canhard cars, no Cougars, is that correct?
No Cougars, that is correct.
No Cougars, okay. A little bit curious as to why that is. The Cougar is historically thought of as the somewhat weaker car. That was the one that was that was at one. But yeah, the primary difference, of course, is the turbo versus the natural aspirated here. The R52 being the turbo, the R51 being the naturally aspirated car. Is there any physical difference between them that we can use to pick out who's in an R51, who's in an R52?
I feel like the R52s have more of a hatchback style or liftback style to the rear, but I could be mistaken. I could just be making that up in my own head.
Carroll is going for it against Martin Edmonds. I mean, we could figure out what liveries are R52s. That would probably also be so. Oh, someone has spun around! It was... That was... Who? Who was that? Fernandez. Fernandez was the one who was spun. This is the problem with having too many Red Bulls.
Yep.
So he's down. He was in third place. He was battling with Castro. I don't want to suggest that it was Castro who spun him, because it could have been someone else. But
it could have been Fernandez even.
Yes. Well, Castro and him were battling for third place. So I'm assuming that there may have been some Argentine on Argentine violence there. So we got Edmonds now leading from Carroll and Castro. DeRoche is up to 4th, Butler to 5th. Fernandez has rejoined in 6th place, so not a huge problem for him, because that gap, of course, between the top 6 and the rest of the field was opening up. So we almost have 2 separate races going on here right now. So Leandro does seem to be faster than Martin. I mean, there's been definitely some very near overtakes, some very close stuff. So he is the man to beat in terms of pace, but has not actually managed to turn in a single win here, of course, because Martin Edmonds won race 1 and Castro race 2.
Yes, indeed. I cannot remember how this race ends, but I think Carroll is happy.
Getting really aggressive, and I don't actually think that that's a good idea, because it's allowed Castro to get really, really close to him. Now Castro, of course, being shoved wide, and that's opened the door for Richard DeRoche, and Richard moves into 3rd place.
That last turn is an interesting place because really, depending on how you take it, you can pass from either the inside or the outside, and it makes for very, very interesting.
Nice pair of double overtakes there, as Leandro Carroll overtakes Martin Edmonds and Castro overtakes DeRoche into that first S. Very nice work, gentlemen.
I definitely do believe that this track caters to close competitive racing.
It does. I think always this was a really solidly designed track. Of course, one that everyone is usually super familiar with due to its free nature.
Very much so.
It's also the test track for any cars in the store that you want to take out for a spin. Not this layout. It's the
bridge layout.
Yeah, but still the first half of the track being identical in all layouts.
Oh yeah.
Let's see if Castro can do anything about Mark Edmonds here, and the more they fight, the better it is for Leandro Carroll, who is trying to slither away into the distance. Oh,
going for a dive
contact by
bomb.
Castro,
Wow.
and that also collects DeRoche, and James Butler suddenly is on the podium.
That knocks Edmonds back to 6th. Oh, he managed to get back up to 5th again. And Butler in 3rd.
Well, that's because DeRoche, of course, was stopped solid behind him and probably had to let him rejoin. So, problems there. And this has opened the door for Alejandro Silvara, who we've not been talking about. It's been weird that he was not in this top 6 group. He's a very quick driver, but he was kind of mired in that back half fight for a while, and now is suddenly in the battle here. Fernandez on the tail of Butler.
Could it be that Silvera is used to being able to set up the vehicle, and now he's perhaps battling the stock setup a little bit?
That could always be the case, because of course having a spec series in a way it's an advantage to the driver who suits the stock setup. Like if it's a stock oversteer setup and you like oversteer, that works out great for you. But someone who prefers a more understeery setup is going to have problems. So in that regard, not quite the field leveler you think it would be, because it does mean that it's gonna favor people who just wouldn't make a lot of changes to the stock setup in general. So
For sure. Definitely people such as Carroll, Castro, or Stoffmail, they definitely seem very capable of adjusting to any situation.
Absolutely, that is the key of being able to do things. And it's also why there is no substitute for. It's the setup is not a magical pill. I'm not gonna stay here and say that being on Mike Stoffmill's team in the Wednesday series, for example, has not helped me out by just having his setups.
Right.
Nothing wrong. It helps, but you also I think a big thing is you have to understand what that setup is doing differently, so that you can even adjust it further. And also, James Butler under attack by Fernandez, looking to make the all-Argentine podium a thing.
Butler defending hard.
Butler, Battle of the Falklands, James. Remember it!
Fernandez trying to snake up through the inside, but not dive bombing. Good move, good call.
Well, he's setting up for an inside line probably into the uphill right-hander here.
Probably.
Not going to come anything from it, but the opportunity is there. That turn is deceptively difficult, I think.
It is quite difficult.
I mean, it's a very easy turn to do just legally. Like if we're talking just simply staying in track limits, it's quite easy. But you want to carry a lot of speed through it, and to bring that speed makes it very difficult. It's Lucky Chop and Robert Waddell battling for 10th place, getting a little bit of moment in the sun while we take a break from the lead battle.
Indeed.
Fernandez still all over the back end of Butler, and Carroll is gone. He has just vanished into the distance.
Sitting pretty comfortably up there in first place for now. Let's see if that changes.
Absolutely, there he is. I would say he's got it. This is the last lap. He just has to not mess up, and race 3 is his.
Yeah, I can definitely attest, based on race 2, you definitely can mess up on the last lap.
Fernandez gets the job done around the outside into turn 1. Very nice.
And overtaking Butler for 3rd place position.
And the Argentinian flag is proudly displayed at the top of the standings. If there was a Nations Cup feature, it would be very one-sided right now, I think.
Yeah, you could say that. I think that's fair.
Richard DeRoche overtook Alejandro Silvara there for 6th place, so that it's not all great for all the Argentines. There are some struggles. But I think we have more or less what we're going to get to the line here. No one else really seems a live dog, but we'll see. It takes just one simple misstep to open up the battle once again. Oh, very wide line there from Fernandez.
And don't quote me on this, but I don't think that is a legal line through that turn.
I would be very surprised if it was. That's a little bit more than just 4 wheels off the track.
It's a little bit.
Whoa! Douglas DeGroot a little bit off there as well. So, yeah, everyone's having their moments.
Yep. Such is racing.
So checkered flag is out, so Leandro Carroll is your winner. I suspect Castro and Fernandez have also secured their podium positions. Waddell and Chop might go down to the checkered flag here. Can Lucky Chop get the job done in that Puma car? I'm going to go with the answer is probably no.
Yeah, probably not. Not at this rate.
As he is held off to the line by Waddell. For 10th place.
That was very close, though.
Bringing up the rear, Justin Kratz. Yeah, sorry, everyone. You got my phone there for that. As my roommate is just confirming when we're going to the post office. So a couple of cars with unable to get legal laps in once again. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's say for at least one. But Leandro Carroll is your race winner. I want to say he's probably the championship leader, but I don't know the point system to really make that call.
It's very possible. He took podium in every race, did he not?
Let me pull up the standings if they are in fact up here. ESR Sunday Spec Series. Here we go. We have no scoring posted currently. That is disappointing. But such is the end of the first Spec Series race here. Next up is the Portimao Grand Prix circuit per the calendar.
Indeed.
That'll be a very long lap in these cars, actually. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there.
Yeah, I believe some of the faster times in the leaderboard are low 50s. 150s, that is.
Sounds about right. I was thinking maybe high 40s, but 50s would definitely be possible. So that'll be a long lap, and we'll see what happens there.
That being said, when I last checked the leaderboards yesterday, I believe it was, I didn't see a single member of ESR other than myself in it. So,
people not using the leaderboards too much. I mean, I guess the thing with the leaderboards is that unless you need it to kind of do a little bit of an ego stroke, which is not a bad thing. I want to make that quite clear. But you end up with if you know the track really well, you don't necessarily need to use the leaderboard to figure out what's going on. And of course, the leaderboards were recently wiped. So if you had a lap time up there previously, then there wouldn't really be a tremendous need to do it again. But I don't know. Me personally, I like to throw it up on the leaderboards just to see where I relate to other people.
Exactly.
Although I've never been particularly good at the leaderboards myself. Anyways, would you have any closing thoughts to this opening round of the series?
All in all, I think it's going to be an interesting one. I think it's going to remain on this level of competitiveness. It's going to be a fairly lengthy one. I believe we have 7 or 8 races lined up, and it's going to be a weekly series as well.
You have Portimao, Sepang, Mid-Ohio, Sonoma, Mazda Laguna Seca, Silverstone, and Road America on the calendar. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds. At 3 races apiece, that's going to be 24 races. It's not bad.
And I might say that I rather like the track listing that we've got set up here.
It's pretty nice. Not really much of a fan of Sonoma myself, but otherwise, it does make me regret that I'm not going to be running in it. Not enough to sign up because I have to have a day off here, people. Come on.
I will say Sonoma and Silverstone are going to be some of the hardest for me personally.
Yeah, I think those are. Silverstone is definitely the one that stands out as the most technically demanding circuit on the calendar.
Oh, for sure.
And on that note, I think we'll wave goodbye to the ESR community here and catch us next time. I think this is our last commentary project, actually, for the week. Unfortunately, the Wednesday series is in the GT4s at Raceroom. We're not recorded due to some computer issues on my end.
Oof.
The spectator froze at one point, and then I got it restarted, and it blue screened, so... if anyone would like to donate to the potential Mike's New Computer Fund, feel free.
You can get in line behind you there, bud.
Because it's not doing things correctly lately, so I may have to do some shopping. May have to turn my Christmas any Christmas money I get into computer parts.
Yeah, there you go. Catch them on sale.
Christmas sales? Come on, man. In the computer parts industry, not really worth a damn.
Buy used?
No. If I'm gonna do this, it could be new parts. Anyways, before we get too far down the computer part rabbit hole, have a good day, everyone. Happy holidays, whatever it is you're currently celebrating. If you celebrate absolutely nothing, like myself, just enjoy the time off. And there you go.